my fault. You guys, literally, I promise you, for like the last 15, 20 minutes, Laura and I have just been talking, and I was like, oh my God, we have to hit record because this was just so much gold. What the heck did we just say? So welcome to the podcast. Here we are.
Thank you.
Now we're just going to continue our conversation, and I know you're going to love it.
Yeah, legitimately, the last 15 minutes we've just been talking, or longer, and just been talking about everything. And
Oh
it's
my
been
God,
so fun.
everything. You guys.
So yeah, Christina was just asking me what I'm working on. So I have a couple businesses, but let's talk about, I have this project I'm working on. And literally what I was telling her is it is a new product brand. I'll give my backstory whenever she asks me, but
whatever.
it's a new product brand. And my whole last over decade is in the product world. I love product businesses. Anyway, I had the idea last Mother's Day in May. It is now the end of January. And I kind of had to marinate. Not all the pieces didn't come together. It took me all summer to be like, who is this really for? Why am I doing this? What makes this brand stand out? Like, I had to mull through that process for a long time. But then by fall, we were full into like development, sampling, all these type of things. I was really trying to find several manufacturers, which was a much harder process than I anticipated. And then like the brand is an experience. And so the packaging is super important. And packaging does come from China. And just like you have to sample things so many times when you are building something from scratch. And so we have had to get multiple samples. And then literally we were going to put the last sample in like a week ago. And the manufacturer we're using was like, hey, we just got a huge order that we have to fulfill before Chinese New Year. Chinese New Year, they take off like almost the whole month of February. So literally I won't even have the final sample before then. And for a minute, I was so irritated. And I was telling her, I was like, even though I've done this for like 14 years, there is still moments that creep into your mind of like, why am I even doing this? Is this even worth it? Like you lose that initial excitement of like, ooh, I have this cool, cute little idea I want to do, and I know it's going to be awesome. And it's honestly just willing to like stay the path, right? Like I'm just staying the course because once all those little pieces are done perfectly, and not that you should wait till everything's perfect. Once it's done the right way, the way I want to launch this brand, it'll be fine, right? It'll be fine. And then we can launch and then we can ramp things up and it'll be what it's going to be.
And everyone is going to be like, oh my gosh, look at Laura. She's an overnight success again. She's like sold her first business for 8 figures. And look, it was so easy. She just did it again.
Right. Except there was like a year of turmoil of like, even my husband was like, hey, what's happening with this? Like he's done that multiple times. I'm like, it's happening. Okay. It's just everything's taking way longer than I thought it was going to take. So it really is. It's really staying that course. And even like, the product is handmade and like working with manufacturers. Like I have sampled at least 6 different manufacturers. And I was like, oh, the first one has been my favorite. And then like the next 2, I was like, oh, the way that they have their website put together and how they like, I place the orders, they're so much more efficient and like professional. I bet their quality is going to be way better. It hasn't been, right? Like, and so then I'm like, was back to the drawing board because I want 3, like that's always the goal, 2 or 3. So you're not like ever stuck. And so then I was like, okay, now I'm back to the drawing board of like, I have some inventory coming from this place, but I need to find others. So it's just like this constant, like you just got to keep at it while like still trying to, do other things and have kids and a family and all that stuff, right? Like, it's not like that's the only thing I'm doing. So it's just, yeah, that's part of the journey.
Oh my gosh, it's such chaos, but it's so worth it. Like when you just in love with what you get to do, and like the final product will be amazing and everyone's going to love it and you're going to make money and you're going to do all the things. But like, that's just exactly what Laura and I were talking about before we even hit record, where we live in this world nowadays where everyone just kind of wants to be like, hey, can I just pay you? And can you just tell me exactly how to make money where it's not stressful and like it's really simple? And I just like my mind is blown because I think as much as I love the coaching space and as much as I love like social media because it's been a blessing to me, it's also the biggest curse on the planet because you take away social media business, which is like a tiny percentage of our world. Like I'm around quote unquote real business people. And I understand like you and I like online, very real business person, but like you go talk to like people who don't even have an Instagram page about business. And none of those people will tell you that it's overnight and that it doesn't take work. And there's like this simple, like magical touch.
Yeah. No, it takes forever. And it's like, yeah, we were joking. I was like, I think I'm going to change my Instagram to like, you don't need the universe and you just need to work hard to have a successful business. Because first of all, I believe in Jesus and I never manifested my perfect business. I've had so many jokes about this and I'm sorry, I'm not trying to offend anybody, but I'm just so tired of this I feel like there's so much information out there, and sometimes it's too much. We don't need so much information. We just need action, imperfect action. And I think there's also an overload of information that's like, you just need to keep saying it, just keep manifesting it. And I do believe in like writing things down. I do believe in vision very strongly. Like, I believe if God gives me an idea, and like, so even for example, this product idea, I had the idea because it's something that I love. And then I had to mull over it for probably 3 months to be like, what does this look like? Like, truly, what do I envision this brand becoming? Like, what, who is it for? What is the purpose of it? How are people going to feel when they get it? Like, all of these things I had to think about, and then I had to go out and make it happen. So it's not that I don't believe in like, you have to have a vision of like where you're going, but I think there's such a misconception on social media that you can just like say things in the mirror and, I don't know, align your cycle with the moon and you're going to be successful. I'm sorry.
Watching on YouTube because it's so freaking good. I love this so much. So I don't know if you know this, but like the three pillars of everything I teach are decision, faith, and action. And so like I truly believe like Laura has, and you're saying exactly what I preach all the time. Like you've made a decision. I'm doing this damn thing. Like, no matter what it takes, I am all in. Like I'm so sold on this. And then the faith, like Laura believes in Jesus. I believe in Jesus. Like for me, it's like the faith part. And not everyone has the faith part. Like you can call it universe, woo-woo, manifestation, doorknob, whatever you want. But you have to believe like somewhere out there, like God is conspiring for you to do this thing because it was put on your heart. Like I know that I know that I know that I know, like that is my ultimate faith. Like I just have to go back to my faith when it feels like everything in the world is not working the way it's supposed to be. And then last but not least, the part that no one really likes to, play with is the action part. Like
Yeah.
it just takes so much bloody action to get to actually where you want to be. And it's not sitting on the couch and looking in the mirror and doing all the things. You can do that and the action. Like I am a huge affirmation person. I am a huge like believing it until I speak shit that's not even real until it's so real because I believe it to my core. And then all of a sudden it starts coming true, but it's because I'm taking so much action at the same time.
100%. And like, we teach this to our kids, me more so than my husband, but like, sometimes we'll be like, you didn't like, what were we talking about the other day? And it was like, you aren't bad because of that. You made a bad choice, right? Like that has nothing to do with who you are. You just chose wrong. So next time, because you are really smart and capable, you're going to make a better choice, right? Like we talk about that all the time with our kids. Like what we say is truly what you become. So I 100% agree with that. And I would like to take this a step further. And I didn't know that this was your thing. So that's really funny. But I believe for a lot of years, I kept asking, like, even when I was looking at selling my business, I was like, is this what you want from me, God? Is this what you want from me? Like, is this really what how you want my life to go? And I don't even know if I believe anymore as my walk with Christ has really deepened. I don't know if I believe anymore that he really cares. What I think he really cares about is how we show up for him in whatever we're doing, right? Like he gives us all gifts and talents. And so my mom is an incredible singer and writer, right? And I don't think she made the wrong, she had a choice to go to Nashville and be a recording artist. And instead she married a farmer. And like, that was after they got married. And she was like, no, I'm staying. Like you are my husband. And so she had a hard life. And I don't believe that God is like, you failed me by not going to Nashville and becoming a recording artist, because she used her talents in every way possible in whatever she chose to do, right? Like she still had a million ideas. She wrote musicals for like all of so many schools around us. She still recorded music. She still went and sang at all these different places. And so it has taken me a long time to realize that like, I don't think it's what do you want me to do? It's who do you want me to be? And from that, right, from that place of like, who do you want me to be? Like, I want to be more patient. I want to be a light that really shines for you. And no matter what I choose. And the beautiful thing is he gives us choices. And so we're on this planet to live out our full potential, And so for me, I could choose to start another business. I could choose to go, support my husband and just farm with him. But whatever I choose, it's who am I becoming as a person in that process, right? And going back, and sorry, I'm jumping all over the place here.
I'm in love. I'm in love. Just do it. Just talk. I love
So
it.
that
I'm
like
here for it.
that's really changed me. Like I thought it was like, I have to do this thing. And I think there are times when he puts things really heavy on our heart that scare us because he's calling us for greater things. But I think it's more about who we are in those times, because there are many people that have had success that don't choose. There was times when I had success that I was not living out I was a believer, but I was not living that out. Right. And he didn't like take it away from me because I wasn't being that person. Like, I think those things are still worked towards. And I think allows us to become, he allows us to chase whatever we want to chase. It's who we are becoming in the process. Who are we, interacting with? Who's he setting in front of us to witness to in whatever way, shape, or form?
Literally, that's exactly the reason why my social media handle is Be Christina. That is exactly the reason why I tell everyone to be themselves. I tell everyone to just like be their most authentic version of themselves that God created them to be. Like, I think so many people are trying to be Laura. Like, who was Laura in business? And by the way, let's probably, now that we've told everyone, like, all the magicalness that is you, let's also talk a little bit about like, how did we get here?
Yeah, yeah.
But people are like, who is this magical, lovely human? I want to know more. But yes,
Or crazy.
yes, we're crazy. But like, I am so being crazy. I'm like, that is my ultimate goal every single day. It's on my board in front of me. It's my prayers every morning. It's on my screensaver every single day. It's just like, how do I just literally block out everything and just be the most authentic version of Christina, who he created me to be?
I love that so much. And you shine because of that, right? Like, when people are around you, it becomes this like, what sets her apart? Why is she different? You can just feel it's not because I'm going around preaching Jesus all the time. It's because the goal is that, like, when people are around me, they're like, there's just something different. There's something different about you, Christina. And that's what attracts people to Jesus. As not that this is what this podcast is supposed to be about, but I didn't know this was the
Oh,
direction.
it's faith. We got faith in the title. We say God and we say shit in the same sentence. That's in our
That's
intro.
awesome. That's awesome. That's great. I mean, but it's you, right?
It
And
is
that's the
so
purpose.
authentically me. And that is
Yes.
what I want for everyone else, because I truly do believe everyone gets so. I had a client one time, very, very, very successful. She's got a business in Florida. She's got like 15 or 20 employees, and she's launching a product. I need to connect to you guys. But
Yeah.
one of the things that she said, she sent me a Voxer one day and she said, Christina, and it made me so emotional because we've worked together for years. I just love her to death. And she's a person of faith as well. And she said, Christina, there's so much crap in the world right now, and I'm having so much success. How do I not feel bad about that? And I said, babe, you cannot change what's happening and all of the other things that are going on. You can't. Your only job is to be yourself and do what you can to change yourself and your circle. Because exactly what Laura just said, when you are so authentically yourself and you're so in your God-given purpose and you radiate, you change the people around you. And if every single person on the planet was being so authentically themselves and being so themselves, we wouldn't have to change anything else because everything would be fucking fine.
Right. It would be. It would be. And the thing that I hope she thinks about is like, she's trailblazing, right? Like,
Amen.
I hope it's like, oh my gosh, like when they see her, like, what is she doing that's so different? You're right. There's so much crap. And she's like this shining light. And now she's like, she is successful. She can get back to her community. She can help, build a well in Africa. Like, there's so much opportunity when you have money. And I think that is something I came from a very, very poor, broke family. And it took me a lot of years to get out of a scarcity mindset. And I think even for a time period, I was scared to talk about the money that I was making. And because I was like, why do I have all this? And I do believe, like, to whom much is given, much is expected. But I expect that in the sense of like, the more I have, the more I can give. Like, truly,
Amen.
I have, not only do I have my time freedom, but it allows us to, like, oh, there's a neighbor that has like stage 4 cancer. We can go to the benefit and buy anything, like it's such a blessing.
Amen. There's do you know who Grant Cardone is? He's in the real estate. You know who
Yes.
he is. So he's very polarizing online. And I don't know, from what I've heard, he and his wife are not like that except for the online. And obviously it works, right? It gets some attention. But I
Right.
remember one time he said something that I was like, oh my God, I can't believe he said that like out loud. And I'm sure it pissed so many people off. But he said, because he was encouraging people to like really like take this step of faith to like do the thing that they're supposed to do and make the money, right? And he said, poor people are selfish. And I was like, oh, I can't believe you said that. But then he talked about why he believes that to be true. And he said, when you're poor, it's like how can I help myself? How can I take care of myself? How can I pay my bills? How can I? He said, when you have wealth, it's never about you because your basic essentials are taken care of. It's
Yes.
like, I don't have to worry about myself. I can do all of this other shit for other people. That's
Yes.
when you get out of the selfishness, is when you're okay. And then everything else is like about being able to do things for other people. And as kind of, icky as he said it, it's true. I
It is.
don't have to worry about paying my bills. Like, I can be a blessing to other people because I am blessed.
Yep. Yep. There's a gal that went through my program last year, and she actually, most of the people I work with have like a established business already. She did not. But I knew her a little bit, and she was like, I really think I want to try this. Like, would you take me in and like just kind of mentor me through this? And I was like, yes, I would love to do that. And she had no idea, like literally zero ideas. And within a year, not only figure out what she wanted to do, she went through the training, launched this business. She's going to do well over 6 figures this year. But what was really interesting, the part that makes me shine, like makes me so happy and fills me with joy, there was like small town community. There was some, I don't remember if it was like a benefit or something they were trying to raise money for. And she's like, we just needed a few people to give like $1,000. And my husband and I didn't even have to think about it. Like, it was easy for us at this point to just give $1,000. And watching the room and other people be like, I can't, $1,000. She's like, I hadn't even realized how much of a mindset shift I've already had about money, and how knowing I have more coming in, and like $1,000, it's not that, she's like, it's not that it's still not a lot of money. I still think $1,000 is a lot of money, but she has it to give. Right. And her mindset around it has already changed. I'm like, that is incredible.
Yep. Every day, my husband and I, our blessing is God allow us to be blessed so we can bless others every
Yes.
single day. I mean, it's like, don't get me wrong. I love my life. I'm the first person to say I love the opportunities that money gives me. But if you truly just think about like how cool it is to be in a position of life where you can truly bless other people. And no, it doesn't always have to be with your finances. It can be with your time, your education,
Right.
your
That's what I
faith,
was going to say too.
whatever.
I think God gives us all different gifts. Going back to like
Totally.
that original, like we get to choose, but there's all things, like I have 3 sisters. We are all wired very differently, and our hearts, like our passions, like the things that light us on fire, are all very differently. And that's the beauty of like God giving everyone different gifts. So I don't expect everyone to want to go out and make millions of dollars, right? Like that's not the purpose, because he blesses us all in such different areas with teaching and our skills and our time.
I want you guys to listen to that. Like rewind that back, because if you are a person who like ever worries about yourself or thinks down about yourself because you aren't, making 8 figures in your business, which Laura's going to talk about in a second, but all of those things, I want you to remember that like your gifts, your voice, your time, your heart, your passion for something. People who always say to me, sometimes they feel stuck. They're like, I feel stuck. I don't know what it is that I'm supposed to be doing in life. I always ask them 3 questions. I say, what is the thing that you could talk about all day long? What is the thing that spikes your voice the way Laura and I sound like two crazy people on a podcast this morning at 10 o'clock in the morning? We're just both veins popping out of our
Yeah, we are
neck,
a little energetic. We're a little
moving
higher
our
energy
head,
people.
just, a million miles an hour. What makes that for you? And what injustice do you see in the world? What is the thing that like hurts your soul?
Breaks
I
your
did a
heart.
pod, I
Breaks your
was
heart.
talking to a YPO, or so do you know what YPO is? Are you in
Yeah, Young
YPO?
Professionals Network.
Yeah,
Young
yeah, yeah.
Professionals Network. No.
Young Presidents Organization.
Oh, Young
That's
Professionals YPN. That's what I'm thinking. No,
okay. Yeah, yeah.
I don't know what YPO is.
uh Young Presidents Organization. It's a global organization. My husband's a member of it. I've had a few YPOers on this podcast. You got to have like a certain number of employees and be a president or CEO or whatever. But
Okay.
anyway, this guy said something. It was really, really good. And he's going to be coming on the podcast soon. But he said, if his first question he asked everyone, not like, what do you do and who are you and all the things, but he's like, what is the number one thing you could change in this world if you had a magic wand? And I thought, what a good question to ask people like
Wow.
at a party or whatever. So go back to that and ask yourselves that question, you guys. Like, what is the number one thing you could change? And for me, I like that was such an easy question for me. I was like, giving people the confidence to do what is on their soul to do in this world. Like, that is what I am most passionate about. Like, I don't care what it is. I have clients that are like, I don't know, like everything under the sun. And I'm just like, they're so passionate about what they get to do. And I was like, yes, I do not care at all. But as long as you are, I'm helping you stay with that. Like, every single person has something. So ask yourself those questions, because whether it's, being able to financially give or being able to give your time or your passion or whatever, we all have something so deep within our soul that we are put here on this planet to do. So now
I
that we
love
know,
that. And can I
please,
add, like, the way you get confidence
yeah,
is by doing the thing
amen,
1,000 times over.
100%.
Like, that's it. That's the magic answer. You want confidence in public speaking? Do 1,000 speeches. I promise you will be confident.
Yep. Confidence is a muscle. The more that you use it, the
Yes.
stronger it becomes. That's
Yes.
one of my little taglines, but it's true. And
It's true. And something else that's a muscle that I didn't realize until I didn't actually realize this until I exited my business. Decision making is a muscle.
100%. Most people are scared to death to make a decision.
Yes, but the more decisions you make, the easier it becomes. Like, so for example, my last business was a clothing brand. Let's talk about a little bit about this. And so for a decade, I built this out. I started with literally nothing, like $100, and I was a farm kid. Like, so I have no fashion merchandising retail experience. I had no idea how to build a website. I built it at my parents' like farm office at night after work. With some free version where you had to put your size in the comments because I didn't have money to buy it from. This is how, I mean, and like Shopify, I think was around, but it was not a big thing. Like, it is so easy now to start a brand, by the way, a product brand compared to when I started. Holy smokes. But anyway, so as I built this brand, I buy inventory. Like, I was the primary buyer forever. And I realized over and over that I was buying product every single day, all the time. Right. And when I left that business, I had my third child, and it was probably a year or two where it was the next year, where I wasn't doing that, obviously. So it was probably a year and a half gap. And then we had this Airbnb property, and I had to start, we had to like remodel it. We had to do all this work to it. Anyway, it came to time when I had to start like buying like what I was going to put in it, right? How I was going to decorate it and all this type of thing. And I realized like I was really struggling. And it dawned on me, like, I would put stuff in my cart and I was like, what is happening here? And all of a sudden it dawned on me, like, I have been out of this habit of making like decisions. Like, this is because I am a very decisive person. Hold on a second. My husband came in my office.
Hi, husband.
And now his phone is ringing.
You guys, this is real life on a podcast, because this is the way it normally goes. Let's be honest. There's nothing perfect. So if you were wanting to start a podcast, it does not have to be perfect, because kids walk in, husbands walk in, phones ring.
Oh yeah.
I had a FedEx guy at my door one day. This is real life, folks.
It happens all the time. But anyway, the point of the story was like, it dawned on me that like this was a muscle that I used to use like this every single day, because I was purchasing so much, like massive amounts of inventory. And all of a sudden I couldn't put like $100 picture in my cart without waiting and not just like purchasing it. Right. So it's a muscle, just like anything. And I'm not saying it shouldn't be used with caution. You shouldn't just be buying anything, but it was the first time it really dawned on me, like, wow, I became so decisive in my ability to make decisions and just execute, that now that I had not, even though I did it for like over a decade, I had not done it in a year and a half or so. And I was struggling. Like, that muscle had not been in constant use. And it was something I had to kind of get back into the swing of.
Totally. And I completely agree with that. And if you are someone who struggles with making a decision, I help with people with this a ton, because oftentimes what happens, and like, I obviously, like, I always say the difference between a therapy and coaching is coaching, I can figure out within 2 seconds, like, why you are the way that you are. A therapist just wants to talk about it. We know why you are the way that you are. Like, for instance,
Yes,
like,
I actually would agree with that.
oh,
That is really true.
100%. I have a therapist, I have a coach, but I always tell my clients the difference between coaching and therapy is I can find out why you are the way that you are within one call, but then I have to help you reprogram that story pattern or habit to get you a different result. In therapy, oftentimes you just continue to talk about the problem, but you don't change the pattern, story, or habit to get a different result. Like,
Yep.
A person who can't make a decision, oftentimes, and this isn't true for everyone, but if you are listening to this and you can't make a decision, oftentimes you are either told you were wrong all the time, or someone always made the decision for you. Let's say you have a parent who's very overbearing, who like always came behind you and like helped you, like you were told to clean your room, but you cleaned your room, and then a parent behind you came and cleaned your room every single time. you now probably have a story that you can't do something right. So like no matter what decision you made, like let's say you made the bed this way, but your mom came and made your bed a different way, you probably have a story in your head that you can't make a true, like you can't make a good decision. So that
That's
carries
interesting.
on with you your whole entire life. So I know why you are the way that you are. Your fucking mother never let you do something, or you were told you were wrong all the time. So we as an adult, if we want to change something and create a different story, we have to program that and start doing small things. And one simple way I want you guys, like if this is just a simple hack, but like if you have a hard time making a decision, I literally want you to look at the menu and set a limit for like 30 seconds. Because there's some people that cannot look at a menu because they're always afraid they're going to make the wrong decision. Should I get steak? Should I get pasta? Should I get this? You have 30 seconds. Look at a menu and make a decision. And that is exactly what Laura said. You're training yourself to make faster decisions. And a menu item is so simple, but the more you do it, then you can make bigger decisions, perhaps life decisions, perhaps work decisions. But you have to start training yourself and reprogramming that story.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean you're gonna make the right decision
No,
every time.
God, no,
It's
you could hate the
you're
pasta.
right, right. You're just like, well, that's done. I mean, it's the point is the faster you execute, the faster you learn, the faster you grow. I mean,
Amen.
business is truly a snowball. So when you start at the bottom with nothing and you have to round that first ball out of nothing, there's like not even the powder there, there's not even like the powdery snow. That is the hardest part. Truly, because you're like, well, what am I going to put in this snowball? What should it look like? What do I want? What do I want my voice to be? All these things. And once you just start that and then you start rolling it, it becomes easier and easier because you have some type of momentum. You have a baseline foundation to start things off of. And the only way to get there is to just execute.
Yeah, 100%. People always say, like, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? If like they're perhaps like not where I am in business or not where Laura is in business. People are like, what am I doing wrong? What am I not knowing? Whatever. It's like I sometimes like tell a person, like, I'm like, do you know that I have been reprogramming this for 16 years? I have been doing this shit for 16 years. Like, how can I make a faster decision? How do I trust myself? How do I show up like this? How do I market myself? I've been doing it a really fucking long time. And it was way harder in the beginning than it is now. My husband calls it the flywheel effect, like in business. Like I'm sure you know that term,
Yeah,
but
yeah. And it's leverage, right? You have
yes,
leverage of people, a team, you have leverage of your past experience, you have leverage of like a brand, of a list you've created, like all of these things. So that's why it truly is the hardest to just start. Because you
amen.
have nothing, you have no leverage, you have no help, you have no input, you have no data of like what's worked in the past, you have no email list, you have no, you know what I mean? Like, so it truly is the magic is just jumping off the cliff and saying, I'm going to make the decision to start this. And even if this isn't the thing that I end up doing forever, it is going to be the thing that catalysts the success because I jumped anyway.
I always say to a person if they're on a clarity call with me and deciding whether or not they want to work with me, and I say, I guarantee nothing. The only thing I can guarantee is there's 3 jobs in my business. My job, God's job, and your job. I guarantee you God's doing his job. I guarantee you I will do my job. I can't make that decision for you. But one thing I always ask is, do you believe working together, or do you believe this coaching support will help you get further or closer to where you actually want to be?
Yes.
And if there's no like end point, but will working together or will this coaching container support get you closer to where you want to be? Because if
I
you
love that.
don't believe that it will get you closer to where you want to be, 100% you should not do it. But if you are thinking that it's going to be this magic, like all of you get to this final end of the road, because newsflash, sadly, Laura has sold her business for over 8 figures, and we want to talk about that in a second. But like at the same time too, there's no end point. There's
Oh,
no
and
like there's nothing. You're not going to get to this magical point. One of my best buddies in life, his net worth is $500 million. And number one, he's not the happiest person I know. And number two, there's not this end point. And so it's just like one of
there's
these
not,
things.
there's actually, I'm so sorry, I want to share
No,
this. There's
please.
actually this clip. I don't know. I think Alex Hermosi maybe said it and it like rocked me
I
to my
like
core.
him.
There's this I don't know, quote that goes around that talks about businesses. And like when you're in a business, everyone thinks the goal is the exit. And as soon as you exit, everyone just wants the cash flow. Like
100%.
there is no like secret magical end. The goal is to make enough money to live the life you want to live, to impact the people in your community, on your team, to like the people you're working with, and enjoy the process.
Amen. Enjoy your life. One of the things I tell people all the time is like, I guarantee you probably won't find a happier person than me who enjoys her life experience more than me. And like, that's kind of like a branding thing, but it's also so true because I've been telling myself this for like 15 years. And whether or not it's true, like, I actually sometimes think that I'm maybe hurting people because I'm like, you think you want my life because I tell you it's the greatest life ever, but you probably don't because I choose that I don't want to have kids. I choose to not have pets because I travel all the time. I choose to work a lot of hours. I choose to have a husband who works like 75 hours a week. Like, you may not want my life, but I'm so sold on this is the best life for me. And that's what I want for every one of my clients. I want them to have the life that they love, that they choose, that's making an impact, that is so for them.
And I think the beautiful thing about business is, yes, there is so much to be learned from people who have like been where you want to go. But at the same time, there's always like a piece that you have to like, there's also always a time you need to like step back and be like, what of this do I take and apply and what of this do I don't? Because the beautiful thing is you can make a business any way you want. Anytime in my last business where I tried to be what everyone else was doing, we failed. Any time when I tried to be like, oh, this is what's really working for companies right now, this is what's really selling, and I tried to follow that path, we failed. We had less sales, right? Because it wasn't me. I was trying to be someone else's business, like taking it to a business perspective from even the personal. I was trying to do what everyone else was doing, and that's boring. Nobody wants that, right? One of the reasons we truly were as successful as we were is because I love being different. Like when my kids say you're weird, I say thank you because I never want to be normal. Seriously. And so like I would hire in a lot of, young marketing girls and be like, oh, everybody's doing this. I'm like, I don't care. We're not doing that. And it's just the ability to say, like, I don't want to do the things everyone else is doing. That is how you stand out. You want to have content that's different than everyone else. Don't copy everybody.
Yeah, totally. 100%. Like last year in my business was probably the best year in my business. I made roughly the same amount of money, but like I totally did it on my own terms. I was supposed, I did masterminds group programs for a really, really long time. And like I loved them, but also too, I didn't love exactly the way that they were because I love the one-on-one. I feel like when I'm one-on-one with my clients, I can so be individualized for every single person. And every single person tells me the way that I do it is so wrong because, if I die tomorrow, my business dies. You know what I mean? Like you can't sell it. It's not a true business, blah, 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 blah. But I'm like, it's so serving me right now. And I can take the money and use it for like we have real estate and all that type of shit. It doesn't even fucking matter. It's just what I love doing. I always say there's only two rules. Number one, does it get a client a result? And number two, do you enjoy it? Besides that, we make all the rest of the rules.
Yeah, and to back that point up, there are like the industry I came from in like now it's a lot of the boutiques is, mine was, I don't know, a little more of a brand. There are so many people that I know that are killing it. That if you took that to a venture capital company, they'd be like, this is not a viable business model because
Totally.
you guys are the faces. They don't care. They're looking at this as like, I'm gonna do this for like 8 years and we're gonna dump everything into real estate. That's what they're doing, right? And then she's like, when I'm old, I'll be done. Like
Yeah. I
it
can
works.
do this until like I'm 41. I could probably do this until I'm 60. Like as long as I've got my brain and my desire to do it, like I don't really give a shit. I can do this forever. I love it. Like love, love, love what I get to do. So going back to how you started. So we only have a few minutes left. And I know that this podcast is so like filled and you guys don't even know who Laura is yet. You're like, who
Sorry.
is this unicorn? Who is she? No, I love it. I love the way that this started. See, we do it our own way here. So when you first started Philly and Flair, how the hell, like, how did you decide that you were going to start an online boutique? How did this even come up?
So Philly Flair.
Philly
And
Farm.
I started because I needed money. So it was 100%. I started out of necessity. I loved to barrel race. I worked for my family full-time farming. I loved to farm. I thought my whole world, I would have went to be a vet but I hated school. So I knew I couldn't be in school that long. Like I never even I went to a semester of college, dropped out because I was paying for it. I didn't have money. Anyway, long story short, I worked for different farmers. I love agriculture. And so I always wanted to be in agriculture. I also loved horses. I love barrel racing. And I did not have a winning horse, right? So like I had to, if you're not winning, it's a very expensive habit. And so
I
I was
know
like,
this. How crazy is this, Laura? I have a few clients. One of my longtime clients, one of my very a few years ago, she's in agriculture too. And now I have like 3 or 4 clients who are all like horse people.
Tell
crazy.
me they're not the most hardworking people you've ever
Oh
met.
my God. And there's a shit ton of money in it. Let me tell you that the truth too.
Salt of the earth, amazing people.
Good humans.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's my favorite. Anyway, so honestly, what's crazy is even when I started this business, I mean the name, I literally can remember like I was feeding calves, like we used to have hundreds of bottle calves. I was feeding them, like I just gotta come up with something catchy. But I had this idea because blingy belts were really popular, and I was like, all my friends at the barrel races are wearing this. So number one, I had access to the clientele that I wanted to sell to, right? Like, so I had access to an audience that I knew wanted a certain product, right? And it was an industry that I knew. So something that I already loved, it was something that they loved. So that was like key. I didn't know it at the time, but it was key. And I was like, marketing wasn't even a thing. Like I had to create a friend page. Like they didn't even have Facebook fan pages. This is how old I am and how long ago this was. Okay. So it wasn't like I was like, I need to have a marketing strategy. I was like, dude, I can buy these belts and sell them for half price as the big Western stores and make money. And all my friends are going to be happy. And I can just show up with the barrel races, right? Like, I mean, so it was truly like a necessity of like, it'll help me cover my fees. But I knew I did not always want to have to be in person because the farm was so demanding. In certain seasons, we were working like 15, 17-hour days. Like that's
Yep.
just the
Harvest
reality
season,
of
planting
farming.
season. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love it. But that was like, I can't just like, if I want this to, be able to carry me at all, like if I can't make a barrel race, I want to be able to sell stuff. So I figured out how to set up a website. It was horrible. Like when I'm like, we're recording when I said this, there, like, I was a free version of some Zen
Yeah,
card.
you told me, you said put your
Now,
size in the comments.
yeah, you had to put your size in the comments because I couldn't even afford to have I don't know, whatever monthly fee it was. So, but I started with what I had. Like I literally Googled for like 2 months. I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell my boyfriend, now my husband at the time. I was doing it because I was scared of people would think of me, but I was just like, I need to do this because I need to make more money. But I love the farm. So I really thought it was just going to be like the side thing. And then it grew really quickly. And I started realizing there was all these other people coming. They were friending me because it was friends at that time. And I studied the customer like inside and out. And I was like, who are these people that are buying? Because they're not my barrel racing friends. Where are they coming from? And I started realizing that it was really trendy. I was carrying these sublimation tees, kind of like Western is trendy now. It was then when I started. And so I was naturally just getting all these other clients, these customers. And I was like, how do I capitalize on this? Right. So we kind of just naturally pivoted and I started offering more products. I already had this audience built. So as the trend pivot, I just offered them what they wanted, right? Like it turned into maxi dresses and clothing and all these things. So that is essentially how the brand grew in a very, very short amount of time. I mean, we didn't spend money on ads forever. We grew, I love organic social media. I think
Yes,
there's
me
so
too.
much,
I've
and it's
never spent
still,
$1 on ads in my whole life.
it's still so beautiful. Like I know everyone thinks like, oh, I wish it's not like it was 10 years ago or 5 years ago or 2 years ago. We're going to say that again in 2 years or 5 years or 10 years. So capitalize on it now, right? We're all going to say that in another 2 or 3 years. Oh, we thought it was hard in 2024. Look at it now. So just use what you have, right? Like just start posting. And I think the key is just really the thing nobody wants to do is say like, this is exactly who I'm talking to, right? Going back to when I would get these wonderful young marketing girls in, they had all these ideas, but they weren't wanting me to buy stuff for their friends, their clients, the like trendy 20-year-old bloggers. When bloggers blew up, that was not my customer.
Yeah,
And
your
so,
customer probably wouldn't be hot on Taylor Swift at the moment. You know what I mean? You
no,
got to
no,
know
for
who you are.
sure.
You got to know who. But there's this young girl who I am just loving following her. It's so random. I found her. We were at a basketball game. We live in Arkansas. We were at a basketball game, and this girl had this coolest shit hat on. I was like, oh my God, where'd you get that hat? She's like, oh, well, there's a girl who's now doing like make your own hat track. And so I reached out to this girl. Oh my God, Laura, it is blowing up. So one of my clients in Canada right now, I'm like, she and I are working on her doing it because it's like you go and buy these like 50-cent patches with this $2 hat, and they're selling these hats for $60. And what she started to do was like a Kansas City Chiefs thing, a
Yep.
football, a girl. She's selling these hats for like 50, $60. I'm sure her profit margins are like 800%.
That's
But
amazing.
but you know what I mean? Like, I love that. Oh,
Yes.
and just, yes, take action. Just do the thing. If it didn't work,
Right. Like, and
who
I'm sure
cares?
this girl wasn't like, you know what, my $1 million business, it's gonna be these hats. Like
Yeah.
she just saw like a gap in the market in
Yeah.
a split second and was like, dude, I bet I can invest $200 and get some of that stuff and just try this.
Yeah.
Right. And she
She
took
bought
action.
like one of those like hat press things. What am I? I forget what it's called. Like there's a type, a Kittle machine or a
I don't know.
It's some sort of machine. I forget what it's called, but anyway, yeah, it's like $100 machine on Amazon or whatever. And she's making these hats. And I reached out to her. I was like, listen, I need some of these hats. My brand is called Decide It's Your Turn. Can you just make me one and I'll just give you money? And she's like, oh my God, yes. And I will wear that son of a bitch. I'll post it. I will hire her to come and do like a cool thing and I'll speak at it. But it's just, again, it's like, you got to take the action, folks. You got to try.
Yeah, I talk to so many people like literally every single day. They're like, I just don't know what to sell yet. I don't know what to sell yet. I'm like, well, what do you like? What do you have
Exactly.
access to?
Yeah.
What are you super passionate about that you're like, I could research this all day. I could look up this stuff all day. And what audience do you have access to? Are you around a bunch of soccer moms? Are you around a bunch of golf dads? Like, what is the thing? Right. And start from there.
You guys, that's the podcast. Like, this is it. Laura and I could talk for another 3 hours, but unfortunately, we
For
both
sure.
have like, we definitely have like, I have got clients, she's got clients and kids and all of the agriculture stuff.
Yep.
So tell everyone who you are and where they can find you online because they're obsessed. And I know that like I'm obsessed with you. And I'm just so, so thankful to Cassie who connected us so randomly.
For sure.
And it's just such a God thing. Laura and I were going to do this podcast a couple months ago, but now we've just kind of connected even more. So I'm so thankful that you did this. I just love your vibe. Love
Yeah, and
you.
can I just like shout out you
Please.
guys, if you are like have ever thought about Christina, ever like wondered what she's really like, it's 10 times more true. She is the most authentic,
Thank
like
you.
genuine person. And it is sometimes rare to find on the internet these days. Or you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of transactional businesses done, like, here, sure, be on this or do this. But you are so genuine and true and like just
It makes
a
me cry because
real,
it's like so important to me. It's like my core value in life is integrity. And it's just so frustrating when there's just so much bullshit out there. Even if you never have paid me a dollar, pay me a dollar. Like, I'm so grateful that this is what I get to do. I'm so grateful that this is on my heart.
you
And if
are
I
the
can
real deal.
Thank you. I appreciate that so much. It means the world to me. It really does. Cause it's all I care about. Like, I actually don't, I sometimes tell people, I'm like, I'm so fortunate. I don't actually have to do this, but like, this is like, I
Yeah.
just get possessed. Like, and I love working with people who are just so possessed because they're like, I just want it so badly. And sometimes it sucks when you want it so badly and it quote unquote doesn't feel like it's working. Like, I wish I could just come through the screen and help all of my clients make $1 million and be happy. But unfortunately, I also know that it's part of it.
I need to add the
Yeah.
success is not the funnest part. Like I
No.
promise you, coming off of literally an 8-figure exit, like I watched the most amount of money ever hit a bank account that any person should ever need to see in their life. Like my grandchildren's lives are changed. And it was really exciting for like an hour. And then I felt the exact same. Like nothing changed. My whole life changed and nothing changed in a minute.
Yeah.
And it did not change me as a human. Like, yes, are there things we can afford? Of course. But like, it does not change you. It is not going to make you happy. I can promise you that.
Oh,
There is not a
100%.
number in a bank account that is going to bring you happiness. I have
100%.
literally lived and experienced that. And some of the times when we were like hustling the most in my business or we were like facing challenges, I miss the most.
Yeah.
There is magic in that. There's magic in the camaraderie of like a team and what you're building and the vision that you're going after and just enjoy that. Like I wish I would have enjoyed it more, honestly.
100%. I was doing a speaking engagement a few weeks ago, and this mom, she had her two daughters in the audience, and she's like, what would you tell these young kids who are just getting a scholarship because they were athletes? And I used to play professional golf. And I was like, oh my God, if I could just tell you one thing, please, God, just enjoy it. Just enjoy it and don't be so unkind to yourself. Like, I mean, that was my whole thing. Like at 27, basically, like I didn't know if I wanted my life to end. Like I was so miserable. I had all of the things externally and I looked a certain way and had money and all of the things. And it was just, I was so unhappy and I just had to make I had to make a change. And that's why my life is just so different now, like 16 years later or whatever it is. But it's just, I wish I could go back to myself and be like, you are having like you will have the greatest life ever. All you have to do is just decide it. And there's going to be highs and there's going to be lows, but without the lows, you aren't so grateful for the
Oh,
highs. Like
the
people
journey
think
is
that my life is like, and I do, I have an awesome life, but like my best part of my day is like going for a walk and looking at the sky and talking
yeah,
to you and like having coffee in
literally.
the morning. Like it's just
If
normal
you
shit.
are willing to just if I could give advice to anyone in business, like if you are willing to be like, I'm gonna just love the journey, like I'm gonna stop, like yes, I have goals, I have visions, but I am not chasing those. I am chasing the success I have right now in whatever capacity. It might not be the number I want to see in my bank account someday, but it is truly like enjoying this stage of the process. It's the challenge. Look at it as like, this is just part of the fun of figuring this all out.
Yep, 100%. Tell everyone where they can find you. If you have a desire, if you own a product, if you're starting a product, Laura is your girl. So where do they find you? How do they follow you? All of the things.
Yeah, just on Instagram, I'm Laura Benson official. Benson, I guess. I do have a membership where we have a private podcast, so talking there every week and just try and encourage people, give them actual tactical advice on like what's happening in the marketing product world. And then I do a little bit of like one-on-one coaching. So yeah.
Awesome. And go follow her Instagram right now, Laura Benson official. If you follow us, we follow her. It'll be in the show notes, but clips of your podcast you've been posting lately too. And I love it. That podcast's awesome. People need this. People need this in their lives. You guys go follow her. She is the real deal, a woman of faith. And I'm so grateful we connected, and thank you for doing this.
Me too. Thank you, Christina.
Loved it.